Okay. Hey guys, welcome back. Already filmed this video today, but I filmed it in my car. I was having a lot of trouble with the tripod, so I moved it and I thought it was in a good position, but it actually wasn't, and my head was cut off. It was just not, I just didn't like the way it was filmed, so I have to figure out how to set up the tripod in my car. And until I do, sorry, I'm just gonna do this video sit down style. So the title of this video, my experience at a PWI, predominantly white institution, predominantly white school, what I learned, how it shaped me, how it changed me, how it messed with me. I don't know if anyone cares about this story. I just thought it would be fitting to talk about it a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do today. Let's just start with how long I attended and why I attended. I went to that school from kindergarten to 12th grade, so my entire life. My whole school experience is basically this school, because before that it was only pre-K and transition K, and after that was only 1 year of college, as we learned in our previous video linked in the cards. I went to the school because my mom worked there and my sister went there, and we also got financial aid. I think it's funny to actually point out that my sister and my mom both left the school. It's just funny that I was the only one that stuck around. I had plenty of opportunity to leave when my sister left, and I don't know why I didn't, because I was the one that wanted to leave, I think. It's just interesting that I didn't follow suit after all of that. We will start at the beginning, which is elementary school. So in kindergarten, I was one of 4.5 black girls that went to my school, and I say half because one of them was only there for a few weeks or a few months or something. She was in my class for no time. So that's why I said 4.5, not because anyone was mixed, even though some of those girls were mixed. I remember I was so lonely. I didn't have any friends in kindergarten. I remember someone telling me in high school, they were like,
you didn't have friends, not because you were black, but it's because you were annoying.
And I was like, okay, I can understand why I didn't have friends from first grade and on, but kindergarten, I don't really understand. So I struggled in a different way, and even with my appearance, I didn't really notice that I was different from them in kindergarten, so I didn't really struggle in that way until first grade. There was one teacher of color, and she wasn't black, but she was still a POC. So I remember in first grade, we're going into, I really wanted her as my teacher. I was so excited when I found out that she was gonna be my teacher. It's funny because she didn't end up liking me, so you know. And I also was the only black girl in my class in first grade. So first grade is when I really started to realize oh, my hair's a lot different than everyone else's. I started to just wish that my hair could be like theirs. It didn't help that I still had no friends in first grade, so I was just trying so hard to fit in and to get people to like me. I just felt so different. Fourth grade rolls around, and that was the highlight of lower school because I had a black teacher. She's my favorite teacher I've ever had in my life, and there was a bunch of black girls in my class. I had a lot of friends. I finally felt okay, now I don't have to worry, I have these people that look like me. There was only one bad instance in fourth grade, and it was when someone compared my hair to the gym teachers, and he was a man and had twists and I had braids, so they were like,
oh, Acacia, you're twinning with our gym teacher. Oh my gosh, you guys are twins, you look just alike.
And when you're in fourth grade struggling with issues of appearance, you don't really want to be compared to a 40-year-old man. That's just not what you want to hear. Okay, so middle school rolls around, and this is when I switched from elementary school was I noticed I was different and I kind of felt awkward about it. Middle school was I started hating myself for how I was different because I was black. I really wanted people to like me. For some reason, I just wanted this validation from the white people because I felt they had everything that I wanted. They had the straight hair, they had pale skin. I just really felt I was ugly, and I remember seeing this picture of me, because I used to have cornrows straight back. I remember seeing this picture of me with the other girls in my class, and I saw the picture and I was like, oh my gosh, I look like a boy and I look ugly. Did people think that I'm not as pretty as them? Even if other people didn't say it, I had such a problem with it because I was literally the only one. Even the black girls had straight hair. I wanted it so bad. It also didn't help. I was in a setting where everyone around me had all this money, and I didn't have money like that. So it was like, not only do they have this straight hair I want, but they have all this money. Like, if only I could have straight hair, then at least I could be pretty. But I can't even have that. So it's like, I'm ugly and poor. That's how I felt. That's really how I felt. Even in my group of friends, like, I was always the one who was the butt of every joke. It was always like,
oh my gosh, Acacia, like, you're so short. Oh my gosh, Acacia, you look like a gremlin.
Like, all these little things that, looking back on, it's like, they weren't even rude, like, they weren't even mean. But because I had low self-esteem, and it was always stuff about how I look, I really internalized all the things that they were saying, and it really stuck with me. Like, it really hurt my feelings. Now I can look back, it doesn't really matter, but in the moment I was really struggling because my self-esteem was so low. Then we move on to 8th grade. That was supposed to be the time when I was really stunned. I had my braces off, and I was supposed to be getting my hair straightened because my dad had always told me, he's like, when you get to 8th grade, you can have your hair straight as much as you want. And I was like, okay, bet. Everybody's gonna, you know, think I'm so cute. But my sister, around the time when like the natural movement started to pop off, my sister was like, oh, I'm gonna go natural and I'm gonna start wearing my hair natural. And I was like, oh, same, because, you know, she was on her I'm a follower, I don't have a mind of my own type time. So I said, okay, cool, we're going natural now. That's gonna look cute. And I thought, because I was watching all these videos of people natural, I thought my hair is gonna be flowing in the wind. It's gonna be giving very much 3A, 3B vibes. Like, it's gonna be giving very much, you know what I'm saying? I was really thinking I was gonna pull up looking like a mixed girl, looking like a light skin, but no, my hair was giving very much afro, was giving very much 4C. I remember my hairdresser, who had always been braiding my hair, was like, you know your hair's not gonna look like that when you take it out. It's not gonna, you have a different hair type, like you have a different hair texture. And I was just like, pish posh, all I need to do is buy a diffuser. And so I got the diffuser. I went into the bathroom, I washed my hair, I put the diffuser thinking it was gonna come out looking like this, and it came out looking very much like this. I was like, oh. But at least you can see that I have hair, so I'll just roll with it, I guess. I felt a little bit prettier, but I still was like, I'm not as pretty as you other girls. High school comes around. I got away from wanting approval from the white people. I kind of just realized, like, why do I need approval from you guys? Not like they were making me feel like I needed their approval. Like, it was all internalized, but I kind of got away from that in high school. It was a different issue in high school. It was more about, I started to feel separated from my black friends. That was mainly due to like BSU. BSU is like Black Student Union. It was just a club where all the black students could come and just, you know, air their issues, talk about what they experience, talk about different things that affect the black community, stuff like that. Where I would go and I would feel so awkward because some of the things that they were talking about, I felt like I really couldn't relate to, and I just really felt like I had nothing to contribute to the conversation. It's like, for example, code switching was something that would come up a lot, like how a lot of people who are black and go to predominantly white schools have to code switch, which is when you change the way you speak or the cadence with which you speak so that you can assimilate into whichever group that you're around. So a lot of them talked about how they had to code switch, and sometimes they felt like they were too black for their white friends and too white for their black friends. I grew up going to this school like since kindergarten. Even in the summertime, I would go to camp was with white kids because my mom got jobs at like these private schools. So it was like private school camp. So I was still the only black girl around all these white people. So I didn't have to code switch to assimilate with black people because I was never like, it's not that I was never around black people, but like I was primarily in these situations with white people. Like family reunions, all that jazz. Like I didn't feel like I needed to change the way I spoke. I was never in that situation where I felt like I had to code switch. I felt like people were looking at me like, why aren't you contributing? I felt like people thought that I didn't recognize these issues because I didn't experience them, if that makes sense. And then moving outside of BSU, when people would talk about things like the racism they would experience at school, I really felt like I couldn't relate because I was like, okay, I don't have the same experiences as you. I don't want you to think that I'm not recognizing your experience because I'm not contributing to the conversation, but I also don't want to say things when it hasn't happened to me because then that's just me trying to fit in with like my black friends. So once I stopped going to BSU, I just didn't have the same connection with all the black people that every other black person has at a PWI. Like I wasn't in the group as much. Aside from not going to BSU, another thing I noticed when I stopped going was junior and senior year was like the year of wokeness. Everyone was trying to be PC and everyone was trying to be an ally. And I just noticed that like some white people, I felt like treated me like I wasn't black enough. Sometimes people would go to other black people while I'm in the room, like they would say like,
oh, I just need a black person's opinion. Like, what do you think of this? Because you're so involved in stuff. So I just want to know your opinion on this.
and I would be like thinking, I'm black too. Like you don't, I just feel like people were not recognizing me as a black person. But I just really felt like people were thinking I wasn't a true black person. Apart from high school, that has carried into my real life, where people will say to me like,
oh, you're not even black, or you're basically white, so you don't even count.
you know, that's really insulting. Like that's honestly so insulting, because yes, I am black, and also you're stereotyping a group of people because you're assuming that all black people speak a certain way, walk a certain way, talk a certain way. Just because I don't use AAVE doesn't mean that I'm not black. Just because I don't go to BSU doesn't mean I'm not black. Like even if you do speak with AAV, that doesn't mean you're different than someone who doesn't. Like all black people are black people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't understand why that's still an issue. Some people don't get that through their heads. Like that's a really ignorant way to think. Okay, I feel like that's enough. I don't know, but I'll see y'all next time. Bye.